I had spent 3 months perfecting the automation system that would revolutionize our entire customer service department. Every algorithm, every workflow, every error handling protocol. By the time I finished the final testing phase, the system could process customer inquiries 400% faster than our current manual method while maintaining 99.7% accuracy. What I didn't expect was that my own manager would hand me the very opportunity to prove just how replaceable she really was. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and broken promises. I sat at the far end of the polished oak table, laptop balanced on my knees, watching division heads file in with their pressed suits and calculated smiles. Janet Morrison, our department director, swept in last, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a countdown timer. She didn't acknowledge me directly, just glanced at her watch with the kind of impatience that suggested my presence was already an inconvenience. I'd been at Meridian Solutions for 4 years, officially titled Customer Experience Specialist, but functionally serving as the department's problem solver, system architect, and crisis manager. The job description said I'd handle escalated customer complaints. Reality meant I'd spent countless evenings rebuilding broken processes, streamlining inefficient workflows, and quietly fixing problems that management created but refused to acknowledge. Janet had hired me with enthusiasm back when she needed someone who could work flexible hours and handle complex technical challenges. That was before she learned I had 2 kids at home. Before she realized that flexible hours meant I'd occasionally need to leave at 5:30 for school pickup or work from home when my daughter had a fever. Before my competence became overshadowed by her perception of my priorities. The meeting agenda focused on the company's digital transformation initiative. CEO Richard Blackwood had mandated that every department present automation proposals to increase efficiency and reduce operational costs. Janet had been preparing for weeks, hiring external consultants and scheduling strategy sessions with senior leadership. She'd never once asked for my input, despite knowing I'd been developing automation solutions independently. Our customer service metrics have plateaued, Janet announced, clicking through her presentation slides. Response times average 48 hours. Customer satisfaction scores have stagnated at 72%, and our team is burning out handling repetitive inquiries. She paused dramatically, as if revealing groundbreaking insights rather than statistics I'd been tracking and reporting for months. Richard leaned forward, fingers steepled. "What's our path forward, Janet?" "We need significant investment in automation technology," she replied smoothly. "I've been consulting with Premier Tech Solutions about implementing their customer service platform. Initial investment would be approximately $300,000, with 18-month implementation timeline and projected 30% efficiency improvement." My stomach clenched. I'd researched Premier Tech extensively. Their platform was outdated, expensive, and would require constant maintenance. More importantly, it would solve maybe half the problems I'd already addressed in my custom system. But I stayed silent, fingers hovering over my laptop keyboard, knowing that speaking up would only trigger Janet's defensive reactions. Marketing Director Tom Chen raised his hand. "Have we explored internal development options? Sometimes our own teams have insights external vendors miss." Janet's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. "Our current staff lacks the technical expertise for enterprise-level automation development. This requires specialized knowledge that, frankly, our team doesn't possess." The words hit like a slap. I'd spent years building technical expertise through online courses, certification programs, and countless hours of independent learning. I'd automated our inventory tracking system, streamlined our reporting processes, and developed predictive analytics tools that had saved the company over $50,000 in operational costs. But Janet had never acknowledged these contributions in formal settings, preferring to present them as departmental achievements rather than individual innovations. "What about Sarah's automation work?" Tom asked, nodding toward me. "I've heard she's developed some impressive internal tools." Janet's expression shifted subtly, the kind of micro-expression that suggested annoyance masquerading as patience. "Sarah has created some helpful spreadsheet macros, and basic workflow improvements," she said dismissively. "But we're discussing enterprise-level solutions here, not part-time mom worker projects." The room fell silent. Part-time mom worker. The phrase hung in the air like smoke from a house fire, visible to everyone but somehow only burning me. I felt heat rise in my cheeks, but I didn't flinch. I'd heard variations of this dismissal before. Subtle comments about my schedule, questions about my commitment, assumptions about my capabilities based on my family responsibilities. But this time was different. This time, she'd said it in front of the entire executive team, reducing 4 years of professional accomplishments to a diminutive phrase that dismissed both my expertise and my identity as a working mother. She'd taken my biggest source of motivation, providing for my children while building a meaningful career, and weaponized it as evidence of my inadequacy. Richard looked uncomfortable, his eyes darting between Janet and me. "Perhaps we should review all available options before making a decision." "Of course," Janet replied quickly, her tone suggesting the matter was already settled. "But let's be realistic about timelines and capabilities. We need proven solutions, not experimental side projects." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. I opened my laptop and pulled up the automation dashboard I'd been perfecting for months. Customer inquiry categorization, automated response generation, sentiment analysis, escalation protocols, integration with existing CRM systems, real-time analytics, and predictive maintenance alerts. The interface was clean, intuitive, and powerful. More importantly, it was ready for deployment. But I didn't speak up. Not yet. After the meeting, I walked back to my desk in the customer service bullpen, Janet's words echoing in my mind. Part-time mom worker. She'd reduced years of dedication, innovation, and results to a phrase that suggested I was playing at professionalism between school pickups and soccer practices. I thought about my daughter Emma, 8 years old, and already showing interest in coding after watching me work on weekend projects. I thought about my son Marcus, 5, who proudly told his kindergarten class that his mom fixes computers and helps people. They deserve to see their mother treated with respect, to understand that competence and motherhood weren't mutually exclusive, that expertise doesn't diminish based on family responsibilities. That evening, after helping with homework and putting the kids to bed, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and a cup of coffee growing cold beside me. I pulled up the automation system I'd been developing. Not the simplified version I'd shown Tom Chen months ago, but the complete platform I'd been refining in my spare time. The system was more sophisticated than anything Premier Tech offered. It included natural language processing capabilities, machine learning algorithms that improved response accuracy over time, seamless integration with our existing databases, and a user interface designed specifically for our team's workflow patterns. I had built it using modern frameworks, ensuring scalability and maintainability that would serve the company for years. More importantly, I designed it with deep understanding of our actual operational challenges, not the superficial problems Janet had identified in her presentation. The system addressed customer inquiry routing, automated resolution of common issues, intelligent escalation protocols, real-time performance monitoring, and predictive analytics that could identify potential problems before they impacted customer satisfaction. I'd been testing components of the system secretly for weeks, running parallel processes during low traffic periods to verify accuracy and efficiency. The results consistently exceeded my projections. Average response time dropped from 48 hours to 12 minutes. Customer satisfaction scores increased to 94%. The system handled 85% of inquiries automatically while maintaining personalization that customers appreciated. But Janet had dismissed it as, quote, part-time mom worker projects. I opened a new document and began writing a comprehensive proposal. Technical specifications, implementation timeline, cost analysis, performance projections, risk assessment, and integration planning. I included comparison charts showing how my solution outperformed Premier Tech's platform in every meaningful metric while costing 90% less to implement and maintain. By 2 a.m., I had a 40-page document that would make external consultants weep with envy, but I wasn't planning to present it as a proposal. I was planning to demonstrate it as reality. The next morning, I arrived at the office early and began implementing my system quietly. I started with a shadow deployment, running my automation alongside our existing processes without disrupting normal operations. Customer inquiries flowed through both systems simultaneously, allowing me to collect comparative performance data while ensuring no customer service interruptions. Within 3 days, the results were undeniable. My automation system was processing inquiries 6x faster than our manual methods, while achieving accuracy rates that made our current performance look amateurish. Customer satisfaction feedback was overwhelmingly positive, with several customers specifically commenting on the improved responsiveness and personalization. But I kept the results to myself. Janet continued preparing for the Premier Tech implementation, scheduling training sessions and budget approval meetings. She'd assigned me to assist with transition planning, apparently unaware that I was simultaneously demonstrating how unnecessary her expensive solution really was. During our weekly team meeting, Janet announced that Premier Tech would begin their assessment phase the following Monday. "This represents a significant investment in our department's future," she declared proudly. "We'll finally have the tools we need to compete in the modern marketplace." I nodded politely while my laptop displayed real-time metrics showing that we already had those tools. We just had a manager who couldn't recognize them when they were developed by a, quote, time mom worker. That afternoon, I received an email from Tom Chen requesting a private meeting. He'd noticed improvements in customer service metrics over the past week and wanted to understand what was driving the change. I scheduled the meeting for Friday, giving myself time to prepare a presentation that would demonstrate not just what I'd built, but what Janet had failed to recognize. By Thursday evening, my automation system was handling 78% of all customer inquiries automatically, with customer satisfaction scores reaching 96%. Response times had dropped to an average of 8 minutes, and the system's machine learning algorithms were continuously improving accuracy and personalization. I printed performance reports, prepared demonstration scripts, and organized documentation that would clearly show the timeline of development, implementation, and results. Every metric proved that my experimental side project was already delivering results that Janet's expensive solution promised to maybe achieve in 18 months. But the most important document wasn't technical. It was the email chain I discovered while researching integration requirements. Janet had been communicating with Premier Tech for 2 months before the official project announcement, discussing implementation fees that included substantial commissions for internal champions who facilitated deals. She wasn't just dismissing my capabilities, she was actively ignoring them to pursue a solution that would benefit her personally while costing the company hundreds of thousands of dollars unnecessarily. As I closed my laptop that night, I thought about Emma's reaction when I'd told her about the meeting. "Mommy," she'd said seriously, "if someone doesn't believe you're smart, maybe you should show them something so amazing they have to change their mind." 8-year-old wisdom. Sometimes the clearest insights come from the people who love you unconditionally and haven't yet learned to doubt their own worth based on other people's limited imagination. Tomorrow, I would show Tom Chen something amazing, and Janet would learn that part-time mom worker had just become the most expensive mistake of her career. Tom Chen's office felt different on Friday afternoon. The usual corporate formality had been replaced by something more intimate. 2 professionals having an honest conversation about excellence hidden in plain sight. He'd cleared his schedule, closed his door, and positioned his chair to face mine directly, rather than maintaining the traditional desk barrier. "Show me what you've built, Sarah," he said simply. I opened my laptop and began the demonstration that would change everything. The automation dashboard loaded instantly, displaying real-time metrics that told a story Janet had been too blind to see. Customer inquiries flowing through intelligent categorization, automated responses generating with human-like warmth and accuracy, escalation protocols routing complex issues to appropriate specialists, and satisfaction scores climbing steadily toward unprecedented heights. "This has been running parallel to our existing system for the past week," I explained, clicking through different modules. Average response time, 8 minutes. Customer satisfaction, 96.2%. Automation rate, 78% with 0 customer complaints about impersonal service. The machine learning component improves accuracy with every interaction. Tom leaned forward, studying the interface with growing amazement. "This is enterprise-level sophistication, Sarah. How long have you been developing this? 3 months of intensive development, building on 2 years of smaller automation projects, I replied. But the foundation started 4 years ago, when I first identified inefficiencies in our manual processes. Every spreadsheet macro, every workflow improvement Janet dismissed as basic, they were all components of this larger vision. I pulled up the comparative analysis, showing Premier Tech's projected performance against my system's actual results. The numbers were stark, undeniable, and devastating to Janet's expensive proposal. My solution delivered superior performance at 10% of the cost, while offering customization and scalability that no external vendor could match. Janet said you lacked technical expertise for enterprise-level development, Tom said carefully. Janet never asked about my technical expertise, I replied. She saw a working mother and assumed limitations. She heard flexible schedule and interpreted it as, quote, limited commitment. She watched me leave for school pickup and concluded I was less dedicated than colleagues who stayed late for inefficient meetings. I opened another folder containing my professional development records. Certification courses completed during weekend hours while my children watched educational videos. Programming boot camps attended via evening video sessions after bedtime stories. Technical conferences I'd participated in virtually during lunch breaks, taking notes that would later become system improvements. I've invested over 400 hours in professional development over the past 2 years, I continued. Not because the company required it, but because I believed in growing my capabilities while modeling lifelong learning for my children. Every skill I developed made me more valuable to Meridian, but Janet measured my worth by face time rather than output. Tom was quiet for several minutes, reviewing documentation that painted a picture of systematic underestimation and missed opportunities. Sarah, this system could revolutionize not just our customer service department, but our entire operational framework. Why didn't you present this before Janet committed to Premier Tech? I tried, I said simply. Not directly, because I learned early that challenging Janet's decisions publicly only resulted in professional retaliation. But I suggested internal development alternatives, offered to research automation options, volunteered to analyze vendor proposals. Each time, she redirected me toward administrative tasks, or reminded me that, quote, technical strategy wasn't my responsibility. I pulled up email chains, documenting these interactions, showing a pattern of dismissal that had pushed innovative solutions underground while elevating expensive mediocrity. The evidence was comprehensive, time-stamped, and professionally devastating. There's something else you need to see, I added, opening the final folder in my presentation. Janet's communication with Premier Tech didn't begin with our official evaluation process. She's been coordinating with them for 3 months, discussing implementation fees that include substantial commissions for internal champions. Tom's expression hardened as he reviewed the email evidence I'd discovered through legitimate system integration research. Janet hadn't just ignored superior internal capabilities, she'd actively suppressed them to pursue a financially beneficial relationship with an inferior external vendor. She called my work part-time mom worker projects while negotiating personal commissions on a $300,000 implementation that my system makes completely unnecessary, I said quietly. She reduced my professional contributions to a dismissive phrase that questioned both my expertise and my commitment to my children. What do you want to happen next, Sarah? Tom asked. I closed my laptop and met his eyes directly. I want the company to succeed using the best available solution, regardless of who developed it. I want working mothers to be evaluated based on their contributions rather than their schedules. And I want my children to see that competence and dedication are respected, even when they don't fit traditional expectations. Tom nodded slowly. We're implementing your system immediately. And we're having a very different conversation with Janet on Monday. That weekend, I spent Saturday morning at Emma's soccer game, cheering enthusiastically while mentally preparing for the week ahead. My phone buzzed occasionally with automated reports from my system, now handling 82% of customer inquiries with satisfaction scores reaching 97.1%. The technology was working flawlessly, but the real test would be navigating the professional aftermath of exposing Janet's incompetence and corruption. Sunday evening, after helping Marcus build an elaborate Lego spaceship and reviewing Emma's homework, I received a call from Richard Blackwood. The CEO rarely contacted individual employees directly, especially on weekends, but Tom had apparently shared my demonstration materials with executive leadership. "Sarah, I've reviewed your automation system and the circumstances surrounding its development," Richard said without preamble. "We're implementing it company-wide effective immediately. I'd like to discuss your role in leading this transition." Monday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that suggested change was inevitable. I arrived at the office early, not from nervousness but from anticipation. My system had processed over 200 customer inquiries over the weekend, with 0 human intervention and 98.4% satisfaction scores. The technology spoke for itself, but the conversation about leadership and recognition was just beginning. Janet stormed into the office at 9:15, her usual confident stride replaced by agitated urgency. Tom had apparently called her Sunday evening to discuss significant changes to our automation strategy, but hadn't provided details. She headed directly to her office, closing the door with enough force to rattle the adjacent glass panels. At 10 o'clock sharp, Richard Blackwood, Tom Chen, and HR Director Monica Wells arrived for what Janet had been told was a routine project review meeting. I'd been asked to join them, bringing my laptop and demonstration materials. Janet's expression when she saw me enter the conference room was a masterclass in barely controlled panic. "Janet, we've discovered some concerning discrepancies in our automation evaluation process," Richard began without pleasantries. "Specifically, we've learned that viable internal solutions were dismissed without proper consideration, while expensive external alternatives were pursued through questionable channels." I set up my laptop and began the same demonstration I'd given Tom, but this time with Janet as the primary audience. Her face cycled through disbelief, anger, and recognition as the implications became clear. My part-time mom worker projects were delivering results that made her premier tech proposal look amateurish and financially irresponsible. "Sarah has been developing this system independently while fulfilling her regular responsibilities," Tom explained. "Performance metrics show it's already delivering superior results compared to our current processes and projected outcomes from Premier Tech's platform." Janet found her voice. "This is completely unauthorized development using company resources without proper oversight or approval protocols." "Actually," Monica interjected, consulting her notes, "our review shows Sarah used personal equipment, completed development during off hours, and implemented testing during periods that didn't impact normal operations. She followed all applicable policies while exceeding performance expectations." Richard pulled up the email evidence showing Janet's premier tech communications, including discussion of implementation commissions and timeline coordination that began months before the official evaluation process. The silence that followed was profound and damning. "Janet, your dismissal of internal capabilities while pursuing personally beneficial external relationships represents a serious breach of fiduciary responsibility," Richard continued. "More concerning is the pattern of professional dismissal that prevented this company from recognizing and utilizing exceptional talent within our own organization." "Sarah made some nice improvements," Janet said desperately, "but enterprise-level automation requires specialized expertise that—" "Stop," Richard interrupted. "Sarah's system is already operational, delivering measurable results and demonstrating capabilities that exceed anything Premier Tech proposed. Your characterization of her work as, quote, part-time mom worker projects reveals bias that has cost this company significant opportunities and nearly resulted in unnecessary expenditure of $300,000. The meeting concluded with Janet's immediate suspension pending formal termination procedures. Her access was revoked, her projects reassigned, and her office cleared under security supervision. The woman who had dismissed my expertise while pursuing corrupt alternatives was escorted from the building carrying a cardboard box of personal belongings. But the real transformation was just beginning. Richard offered me Janet's position as Director of Customer Experience Innovation, but I countered with a proposal that addressed broader organizational challenges. Instead of simply replacing one manager with another, I suggested creating a new role, Chief Innovation Officer, reporting directly to the executive team, with mandate to identify and develop internal talent across all departments. Too many companies overlook their best assets because those assets don't fit traditional expectations, I explained during our negotiation meeting. Working parents, remote employees, part-time specialists, young professionals, we're missing innovations because we're measuring worth by presence rather than performance. The role I designed included budget authority for professional development, mandate to implement flexible work arrangements that maximized rather than limited productivity, and responsibility for creating advancement pathways that recognize diverse forms of excellence. I wanted to ensure that no other working parent would have their contributions dismissed as part-time projects, while inferior alternatives received investment and recognition. My first initiative was establishing the Internal Innovation Program, providing resources and recognition for employees developing solutions outside traditional job descriptions. Within 6 months, we identified 12 automation opportunities, implemented 5 cost-saving process improvements, and launched 3 new service offerings based on employee-driven innovations. The program specifically targeted overlooked talent, working parents whose schedule flexibility had been viewed as limitation rather than dedication, remote employees whose geographic independence had been seen as disconnection rather than efficiency, and part-time specialists whose reduced hours had been interpreted as reduced commitment rather than focused expertise. Emma often visited the office during school holidays, setting up homework stations in my workspace while observing professional meetings and strategic planning sessions. She began asking sophisticated questions about automation, team leadership, and problem-solving that impressed executives and inspired other employees to include their children in appropriate workplace experiences. "Mommy," she said one afternoon while coloring at my conference table during a project review meeting, "when I grow up, I want to build things that help people, just like you do." Marcus, now 6, had developed his own interest in helping Mommy fix computers, spending weekend mornings arranging my cables and organizing my technical documentation with serious concentration. Both children understood that their mother's work mattered, that flexibility and excellence weren't contradictory, and that innovation could come from anyone willing to invest effort and imagination. The automation system I'd developed continued evolving, now handling 94% of customer inquiries automatically while maintaining satisfaction scores above 98%. More importantly, the system had become a template for similar innovations across other departments, generating company-wide efficiency improvements worth over $2.3 million annually. But the most meaningful change wasn't technological. It was cultural. Meridian Solutions became known as a company that recognized and developed talent regardless of traditional limitations. Our employee satisfaction scores increased dramatically, our retention rates improved significantly, and our reputation attracted exceptional professionals who valued substance over superficial appearance. 6 months after Janet's termination, I received a handwritten note from a new employee named Patricia Chen, a brilliant analyst who'd left her previous company after being passed over for promotion because her remote work arrangement was seen as lack of engagement. She'd heard about our innovation program and specifically requested assignment to my team. "Thank you for proving that competence matters more than conformity," she wrote. "You've created an environment where working mothers can excel without apologizing for their priorities or hiding their capabilities." Standing in my corner office, the one with windows overlooking the city where my children would grow up, I thought about the journey from part-time mom worker projects to chief innovation officer. The path hadn't been traditional, but it had been authentic. Every late-night coding session, every weekend learning course, every school pickup that demonstrated my commitment to both professional excellence and family responsibility had contributed to this moment. My children now understand that their mother didn't just survive professional dismissal. She transformed it into organizational change that would benefit countless families. They've learned that expertise combined with persistence can overcome bias, that innovation often comes from unexpected sources, and that the best revenge against those who underestimate you is proving them spectacularly wrong while creating something meaningful for others. The automation system still runs perfectly, processing thousands of inquiries with efficiency Janet never imagined possible. But its greater legacy is the culture it helped create, one where working parents are valued for their unique perspectives, where schedule flexibility is recognized as strength rather than limitation, and where part-time mom worker has become a badge of honor representing dedication, innovation, and the beautiful complexity of modern professional life. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.